Hey, this is Josh from Only Love, and you're listening to Mikey's Untitled Music Show.
All right, guys, welcome to Mikey's Untitled Music Show. Today, we're going to try and learn where the musical creativity and what makes the musical mind of the band Only Love out of Bristol, England. Today, we have Joshua Clay. Joshua, how long have you guys been a band?
As Only Love, we've been a band for about 2 years now. I think maybe a little bit longer. It's hard to keep track, but there was another band with there's four of us in total. There was another band that had three of us in it. There was basically the same band with a different name. And that started in I think 2021, and then that sort of fell apart. So in its current form, about 2 years.
Okay, awesome. Can you tell us about the earliest memory that you have of being creative or like using your own creativity with music?
Yeah, well, kind of. You sent me the question ahead of time, and I was like, kind of a few different things came to mind. I mean, probably like I've never been like the most like musical person when it comes to playing music, if
Hmm.
that makes any sense. So I never like I didn't have the like, oh, I picked up guitar when I was five. Like I don't have anything like that. It was like I did music classes in school because I had to, and like with everything in school, I just didn't really take it seriously, you
Yeah.
know.
Hmm.
But those are still the classes that I had. It was that and art and English as well. Those are the only classes that I like enjoyed, um, that I would like look forward to.
Hmm.
Didn't like school very much. Um, and yeah, it was mostly like I don't know how music classes work in the US in school, but we had a bunch of keyboards,
Hmm.
just a bunch of like Yamaha keyboards, and it was basically like if you can just imagine a classroom full of teenagers who have been given the power of a Yamaha keyboard all at the same time. Those DJ buttons, oh
Yeah.
man.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, that's pretty much it. And I didn't get into playing music until I was maybe 18, 19, something like that. And then it was really just because I wanted to look cool. So I I picked up the bass guitar. I played the bass guitar in a couple of hardcore bands, and I was absolutely terrible. Um, yeah, that's what I got for you. Playing the DJ button on a Yamaha keyboard in music class.
Yeah. My cousin's actually a bass player. He has these fingers like he's like double jointed, so he
Oh
can
yeah.
like put his fingers like all the way back. It's crazy,
Oh,
but he would like whenever he would play the bass, his slaps were just pop. It was really good. He stopped really early too. I would always tell. Well, I used to play the drums. I used to think that I was a drummer, but I
yeah.
never had a drum set.
You just
So
like,
yeah, yeah, I just liked I enjoyed watching the drummers on the stage. Where I how I grew up, I had um it was like in the church. I grew up in a Christian church, and every Wednesday, every Saturday, Sunday, we had live music. Whether it was in the morning, we had live music where they would, play the music and we would hear the message after. And then on Saturdays, they would have like bands coming up. And I always thought it was really cool seeing the drummers up there. And my dad was a drummer and he played in one of those bands also. So
oh, that
I
makes
always thought
sense.
that was really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, what was the instrument that you picked? Well, other than like the bass guitar, like where did you get into wanting to be in a band?
Like I said, it was because, well, okay, so what it was, I grew up in a really small town, well,
Mm,
relatively small. It's a small town, and I dropped out of college, which is the equivalent of high school in the US.
mhm.
I think that it like more or less works out. We have college and then we have university afterwards. I think it's like mandatory now, but at the time college was optional and I dropped out. I didn't like it, and I was just kind of like trying to figure out what to do. And I was like working jobs. I didn't really have any friends because all of my friends were still at college. Like I met all those
Mhm.
people there. And then I met a couple of people who were involved in like the local hardcore scene. And I thought they were like the coolest fucking people in the world. And I just wanted to like get in with that crowd, you know,
Yeah.
because I just liked, like what they were about. And, they just, I was young and impressionable and they seemed cool. So I was like, well, I need to like get involved somehow. Like it's not like I was a stranger to it. Like I've always been into like uh heavier music, like alternative music and whatever. But I was like an emo kid, you know? And
Hmm.
it was like this whole new world. So I was like, I got to get involved. I have to like, you know, plant myself in this somehow. So I found a band. I can't even remember. I think I just lied and I told them that I could play the bass. And then I bought a bass guitar from a friend of mine. It was like an Ibanez. I can't remember what it was. It was like the most basic starter bass that you could
Hmm.
get. And I just kind of I figured out how to play the songs. Like I learned tabs. Like if you asked me to play like a note, like if you were like, oh, play a D, I would be like, I don't know what you're talking about. But
Yeah.
I could learn tabs and like follow along with them. So I did that. Um, and then I got really involved in that whole music scene while it was still going. It's pretty much dead now. But while it was still alive, it was like this whole, it was like I don't know what to call it. I wouldn't call it a movement, but it was like a scene in this town that felt it was like a moment in time, you know. There was like
Yeah.
the same 20 or 30 people that you'd see at every show, and you were all friends and you'd all like hang out and just waste time, basically. And then I think I was in another band and then that fell apart. And then I think I just kind of I didn't do anything for a really long time.
Hmm.
Um, and that, what was the question? How did I get into
Oh,
it?
yeah, yeah. Like, how'd you
Yeah,
get into?
that's basically it. I just saw something cool was happening, and I wanted to be a part of it and get involved.
What were some of the bands that you were listening to at the time? You said you were, it was like kind of the emo scene or more like hardcore. What were
Well, it
some of the
was so before then, I'd been listening to uh like my favorite band is still My Chemical Romance.
Mm,
Um, I was listening to like basically all those New Jersey bands like Thursday,
yeah,
like Armor for Sleep,
Senses
um,
Fail.
Senses Fail, exactly. Yeah, like all of that kind of stuff. That was what I was big into. But then it wasn't it wasn't like the hardcore scene like, Madball and
Hmm.
all of that kind of other stuff. Like it was I think we were like too cool to name it at the time, but I guess you would call it. It was a very UK centric thing. It was like melodic hardcore. It was very like emotional, uh, a lot of like really raw vocals. It was like almost like screamo, you know.
Yeah.
It was bands like More Than Life, Brutality Will Prevail. I don't know if you know any of these. It was a
I've heard
very
of More Than Life for sure. I've heard of More Than Life.
yeah, like Dead Swans. It
Thursday.
was a very like UK and Europe. It felt like a very UK and Europe centric thing anyway, because the bands just stayed in Europe and it was you know. But it was like probably from like 2010 to about 2014, it was like everything, and then it just disappeared.
It disappeared for years, and then it just started coming back maybe
Yeah,
like 5 or 6 years ago.
right. Yeah, I know. But I think it was because it was so, like, the definition of it was so narrow that it, like, really quickly became like a parody of itself. You know,
Yeah,
like every band had the name was like a single noun. It would be like landscapes or like, something like that. And like everyone was using like Times New Roman font and everyone was like dressing the same.
yeah.
And I think that's honestly what happened is like it was so specific that it just like eventually you just started to be like, this is really stupid. Like, but at the time it felt important.
At the time it did, right? And I remember, well, I watched Census Fail this last, maybe a few weeks ago, 2, 3 weeks
Me too.
ago.
Me too. Yeah.
Um, oh yeah, so you watched their Let It Unfold You show?
The New Jersey versus the World
Yeah,
tour.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, that was such a good show,
It
man.
was awesome, man. Yeah.
We, we were, we just got there, um, right before, I forgot who the other band was. I think it was Escape the Fate. It might have been. And we got there for a little bit, and then Census Fail comes up, and my wife and I, we don't really go up, into the crowd anymore.
Mm.
But it was at a House of Blues, and the House of Blues is very like I don't know if you've ever have you ever been to the U.S.?
Yeah, a few times, but just
Okay. Well, yeah, House of Blues is just a like a smaller music venue, maybe it holds about maybe like 500 people, maybe 500, something like that. Not too big, but the sound is always really good and the sound's always amazing in there. But it's just everybody coming together to see Census Fail
yeah.
play Let It Enfold You,
Yeah, man.
which like every single song was a banger. I
They
mean,
are, yeah.
if you know, yeah, if you like their album and if you know that album, everybody pretty much knows every single song on that album.
Yeah,
And it
there's
was
no
cool
skips.
because um Martini Kiss had been a song I've seen Census Fail. My wife and I love going to live shows and concerts. So we've watched Census Fail at like um Warp tours and music festivals and things like that. We went to the last three when we were youngs. But Martini Kiss, they never play. We had
Hmm.
never watched Martini Kiss. And I even remember posting it when they were coming to San Diego a few years ago, like, I want Martini Kiss, I want Martini Kiss, and I mean, nothing came of it, of course, but they finally played it. They played
You
the
got
whole
your
album.
wish.
They finally played Martini Kiss. It got my wish. I was buzzing real good. I was feeling real nice, and it was just a really good show.
Yeah, it was
Um,
great, man. That buddy's good, isn't he?
oh
I
yeah,
remember like back in the day when they were first coming up, he got clowned on a lot because he was I mean, let's be real, he was like not a good performer at the time. I think he had a lot going on, with
mhm.
like substance abuse and things like that. So you can't blame him. But now he's like on top of his game, man.
Oh
He's like,
yeah,
yeah, he's killing it.
yeah. It sounded so great. Is there like a certain album or a certain, or maybe not album, but like a certain genre or artist that really resonates with you and like I guess kind of influences your music that you have right now.
Well, I really like metal and like, I mean, like, real, I say like real metal, like I like death metal and black metal. Those are kind of probably the main things that I listen to
Mhm.
nowadays. Um, which is weird, man, because I used to be in a death metal band and at the time I wasn't really listening to any of that stuff. And now I'm in a emo band and it's pretty much all I listen to. But I think it does like influence the music in a way. Like I mean I don't have like complete creative control, of course, because it's a
Mhm.
band. There's
Yeah.
four of us and we all write the songs together. But like I think there's certain things in like the way that I like write lyrics or like structure, phrasing and things. I think
Mhm.
it does yeah, I think it does. I think it does have an influence, but uh, and the way I like certain things to sound as well. Like, you know, I like to try and get Jake to put as many guitar solos in as possible.
Mhm.
Uh, I like adding. I like to add a bunch of really like extra instruments like anything if I get a chance to put something like orchestral in like a
Hmm.
violin or like some chants or something, I'm all over it. And I think that's in a large part due to like listening to metal.
Yeah, and I like your sound bites, like your little sound bites in your songs also. Um,
Oh,
the
you mean like on the EP? The
yeah,
Yeah, that was a lot of
yeah.
fun. We when we recorded that, we were all together in our bassist's house. He lives in this big weird house out in the countryside, and we were all there for a few days recording everything and like looking for ghosts and just messing around. But we our guitarist brought his field recorder and we spent a night just like recording a bunch of a bunch of like just dragging stuff around and like throwing a big brick into a pond and
Oh,
like just
okay.
recording
Yeah,
loads of
yeah.
sound effects and yeah, getting real drunk and yeah, that's where a lot of that comes from. Some of the samples like obviously we didn't like record the police
Mhm.
sirens and stuff ourselves, but yeah, a lot of that stuff is just us screwing around.
When you first start to write a song like Gallows, that's your newest song right now, right?
Right, yeah.
Um, what goes into writing a song? Is it you, um, like is it all four of you writing lyrics? I guess I'm going more with the lyrics of the song. Like who wrote that song?
I wrote that song.
And
Uh
yeah.
yeah, no, go on.
I was just gonna say, like, when you sit down and start writing, what's like one of the first like do you have a ritual? Do you have some kind of thing where you just take a walk down the street or what's usually the creative start for you when you sit down and you want to write a song?
Um, well, a lot of the time, like stuff will just be happening, like in my life, and I'll just like even when it's not, like if I just think of, a phrase or something that sounds cool, I like have a big notes folder, and I just write little bits and pieces down, and that's
Mhm.
like, that. So like I'll be like, well, that's really cool. Like I'll listen to a guitar track or something that someone else has made, and I'll be like, oh, that fits in perfectly, with this part of the song, and then I'll kind of expand it around that. But usually, um, I kind of sit down. I'm like, right, well, what is this song about? Like, if you have a central idea, it makes it. I don't know. I find that it just like everything kind of just falls in around it, you know?
Is it more like telling a story when you're coming up with your writing, or is it um well, I guess, yeah. Oh, this sounds good with this line that I wrote, and then this sounds good with this line that I wrote.
No, I mean, I've always, well, with the EP, that's kind of a special case because that the whole EP is a story, it's like a concept.
Mhm.
So we were deliberately trying to tell a story, through those 5 songs. Um, I mean, obviously there's elements of like real emotion or whatever that go into it, but we were trying to
Mhm.
tell a specific narrative. But we wanted these songs to be like more personal. Um, so yeah, that's what I mean. Like when I say if I sit down, I'm like, what is the song about? It's like what am I trying to get across? And normally it's just I don't necessarily think there's like a story. It's just like an abstract, like a snapshot, I guess, of
Mhm.
a feeling or a collection of feelings. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Um, so I want to bring up some lyrics
Hmm?
that I have here because I really love your guys' sound.
Thank you.
I really love your guys' sound. Like I'm surprised. Like you guys have 1,000 monthly listeners. That's a lot of people
Yeah.
listening to your music. How does like you said you got out of band. I'll get the lyrics right now, but you said that you got out of a band and that you like it kind of fell apart. Um,
Mhm.
where do you like where does that like motivation to come back and try again? Like where did that come from?
I just love it. I think that's all there really is to it.
Yeah.
Like I love the like having a creative project on the go. I love the social aspect of it. Like, going to shows and meeting people. I love performing, and when I'm not doing something like that, I'm like thinking about it. And it was almost like with this last band, because what I was living in another town. I was in a band up north a little bit. That was like a metal band. And
Mhm.
then COVID happened. During COVID, I moved to London and, like COVID was happening. So starting a new band in London was off the table. And it was just when I moved back here to my hometown, um, where it was like, oh, well, I know people around here. Like, surely I can get something going.
Mhm.
I just knew I didn't want to do metal anymore because, I'm too old for that.
I get it. I get it. But this was off of Downpour.
Mm.
Um, am I wasting all my time pretending? Will this really be my legacy? Just a king of death on a throne I'm renting.
Mhm.
Like I thought that
Pretty cool, eh?
like like I was like, God damn. Like where does that come from?
Well, the EP we it's like a so the EP it's like meant to be like a cheap horror movie, right?
Okay,
And
yeah.
it's about uh it's about a few things, but it's mostly about a guy who works in a morgue. He's like a real outsider, his life sucks. And
Okay.
he like has these delusions of grandeur and he's like being told to harvest body parts and from the people in the morgue and that's kind of what that means. It's like, he's an outsider. He wants to leave his mark on the world. And he's like getting paid to work with dead people, you
Yeah.
know.
All
So
my
it's like,
friends are at the city morgue.
yeah.
Yeah, I I really dig the EP, bro.
Yeah, it's
It's really
cool.
good.
I'm really happy. Yeah, I like it too. It's one of those things where like when we put it out, I think we'd been working on it for so long because we didn't really know what we were doing. It was our first time trying to do a bigger release. We didn't really know
Mhm.
what we were doing. It took forever. And by the end, like I'd heard the song so many times, I was like, this sucks. But like then I go back to it now and I'm like, no, it's kind of ripped.
Yeah, it's like the EP is really good. There's another song that I did want to ask about. Um, I felt like it was probably one of like the band's like more not more powerful, I guess, but I guess more like I guess we learned a lot about you. But who was whose song was that for?
Which one?
January.
January. So our drummer Sam wrote that song
Oh,
for
okay.
for his sister who passed away a few years ago. But
Oh, okay.
uh, but that was a tough one because I mean, just literally a few months before we recorded it, my mum passed away as well.
Mm,
So
hmm
yeah, that was a rough day in the studio. I think for
Yeah. No,
everybody.
I can imagine. Um, when do you guys play that live?
No, we haven't done yet.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Uh, I think it's just because it's like we try and keep the shows quite high energy,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a bummer. Like we
But
wouldn't be opposed to it, you know, but
yeah.
it's just finding the right, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, I've never lost, well, I haven't lost a sibling, you know, but I have lost a um I have lost my grandpa. He was
Mhm.
pretty much like my second dad. Like it was half and half, pretty much. And I was listening to that song, and one of the lines that really resonated with me was like I wish I could hear you speak. I'd close my eyes and finally sleep. Well, do you know what it's like to talk to a picture, wishing for more when the response has no features? Like I was just like, man, that song got me.
Yeah, man.
That song really got me.
Yeah.
How was it writing a song like that? Did your drummer write that song himself and bring it to you guys, or did he? Um, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think he wrote the lyrics and then him and Jake, our guitarist, they live in the same village. So I think they came together and then, yeah, we just recorded all the parts of it.
Yeah. Really powerful stuff. January, guys. It's not on the EP, um, but it's a really great song. Really great
Yeah.
song. Um, how does music, in your experiences, how has music brought you closer to like other people around you?
Um, well, there's like, like I said, like I met a lot of my really close friends who are still my friends to this day, in the scene, in the local music scene.
Hmm.
Um, that's kind of how, I mean, that, like those are still the people that I talk to the most often, even though, a lot of them have moved on or like left town or whatever, we still have time for each other. Um, there's that. There's like, me and my mum used to, I mean, my mum was always really heavily into music, like not the same, obviously not the same stuff as me, but I think she helped to kind of develop my interest in it, you know.
Hmm.
She really liked like all the Brit pop stuff, like Pulp and that kind of thing,
Hmm.
like Blur. And she was a really big fan of the Beatles, but we mostly bonded over Bruce Springsteen, you know.
Mm, okay.
That was like a big thing between us. I'm a big fan of Bruce Springsteen and she was too. So yeah, it's things like that.
Do you have any like pre-show rituals that you do before you go on stage, or anything your band does before you get up there?
Um, I normally just pace around a lot. No, not really, to be honest. Um, it- yeah, no, not really. We just turn up. Uh, we like to hang out for a few hours beforehand, and just like keep it chill, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And then like we always have like a loose plan going in of like, the set list and where we're going to talk about stuff. But yeah, no, not really.
How do you feel when you're up there?
Um, oh, it's hard to describe. It's not like we're playing huge shows, you know.
Mm,
Uh, but it's like I know it is a very and it depends a lot on the crowd as well. Sometimes, like we've definitely played shows before where it's like you just feel like you just want to get the fuck out of there as fast as possible and like just
yeah.
play the songs and leave. But like when it's when like the stars align, and everything's perfect. It's like yeah, it's amazing. I find it to be a lot of fun. I like to make stupid jokes and like, you know, I find that like puts people at ease, if you just say a bunch of stupid shit. Um, yeah, I love it. It's my favorite thing to do.
Um, what has been the ultimate purpose of music in your life?
I think for me, like it's cathartic, I
Hmm.
think that's always been the case. Uh like even the stuff that I listen to and like uh there's just something about it, when you listen to something that is like a line or whatever that like really really hits and like you really relate to. There's nothing else that can give you that, I don't think. You can't like fake it. Uh that's yeah. But for me, like, do you mean like playing music? The ultimate purpose of playing music?
Yeah, well, I guess just yeah, playing music or just music and what is it for you?
Yeah, I just love it. And I don't think like I think we're all kind of past the point in the band of being like, oh, we want this to be like this is it. This is going to be our career one day. This is going to be our life. We're kind of past that because we all have I mean not all we all have like full-time jobs and like
Yeah.
families and whatever that are always going to take priority. So I think and I think in a way that kind of helps because we're not like you've probably noticed like we don't like post a lot on social media like too much unless we have something specific to say, you know.
Hmm.
I get kind of like the whole social media game is it's new to me really because when I was like back when I was doing bands before it was like there was Facebook and that was it, you know.
Yeah.
And like it was before you had things like DistroKid or whatever and you could just get your music onto Spotify really easily. It was
Yeah.
like we're going to put out our EP, it's in a zip file on this like sketchy website. You have to go and download it and then like
Yeah.
play it in Windows Media Player and like put it on your phone or whatever. It
Uh-huh.
was completely different.
Hmm.
Um, and like, yeah, I don't have the wherewithal to figure it out, like the algorithm, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
I'm right there with you, brother. Like, um, right now it's I mean it's right now I'm still brand new also, right? And
yeah,
I'm still learning and you know, I guess you just have to what I've been doing is just like pumping stuff out, but I don't even know if that's I mean it's helping. It's
yeah,
like it's getting stuff out, but yeah, I guess you just gotta keep at it, bro. You just gotta
yeah,
keep at it.
yeah. I think that like that's what I mean is like we try not to get too caught up in like playing the game.
Yeah.
We're not like following the Instagram trends, and like,
Yeah.
you know, jumping on that stuff. I'm not like knee deep in being like, oh, reels are like what's hot this month, and you got to like, put these tags in it or whatever. Um, and like so far it's been working out okay.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I don't think any of us have any illusions about it being like this big thing. And I think we're fine with that. And I think it kind of helps in a way because it takes a lot of the pressure off, you
Hmm.
know? Uh, we're not like people pleasing, we're just doing our own thing. And it seems to be doing okay at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on it. And that's the ultimate purpose of music in my life, is to keep an eye on
Keep an eye on it.
it.
What's your message to the world?
Oh man. What only love's message to the world?
To the world.
Oh, well, we write a lot of songs about things that are difficult, uh, like things that suck. Uh, and I guess the message is like it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
that's really all there is
yeah.
to it. There's adversity, there's struggles, there's things that are going to suck, but it's going to be okay.
Well, thank you very much, Joshua, for joining us. I really appreciate this.
Hey, thank you.
I, you
Been
know,
fun.
I can't thank you enough. This has been really fun. I really enjoy your EP. Go out there, guys. Go follow and subscribe and click the links. We
Yeah.
have it's Only Love Band at Only Love Band on
Yeah.
Instagram,
Yeah.
and their their EP is out.
Yeah.
Their single Gallows is posted on Instagram. You can find their page. Where else can we get your music?
We have a website which is deathsnightshift.com, and that has all of our stuff on it. It has the t-shirts, it has the YouTube channel, it has the Instagram, um, like links to the Spotify, everything's on there. So
All right. Well, thank you guys for following me with this journey. Thank you, Joshua, and Only Love for following along with me with this journey. It's gonna be a great one, and I can't wait to see you guys blow up because I know it's gonna happen. It's
thank you,
definitely
man.
gonna happen.
God bless you. All right.
Thank you so much. Everybody, be safe, be great. Remember, we share because we care. Peace.